You're listening to the Empowered Divorce Podcast, where you practice being the chooser in your life, one day at a time. Thanks for joining. Hello, my amazing, beautiful listeners. Thank you for joining me today. How are you? How are you holding up? Oh my goodness, you have all been on my mind so much. And again, just want to thank you, those who are sending in questions and messages. I hear you. I am looking forward to continuing to answer your questions. And one of the questions that I'm getting a lot right now is, how do I join your Believing in You group coaching program? And is it for me? So really quickly, for those of you who might be considering joining my signature Believing in You group coaching program, first of all, this is not a support group. There is a total difference from a support group than a coaching group. And this isn't for everybody. For those of you who are ready to start taking your healing to that next level, really start looking into yourself and seeing, okay, what's going on here that it really keeps me stuck or keeps me from believing that I can move forward? Maybe I'm trying all of the things, so to speak. I'm doing all of the things on the checklist, but I feel like I'm just not where I want to be. This is for you. The reason why group coaching makes such a difference when we're wanting to take it to the next level is because we're really getting double coached. When you see other human brains get coached, when you see other human brains get stuck, and when you recognize, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I had the same thought my brain's offering me, then it gives you more awareness as to what's going on so that we can then learn to be in charge of it, be in charge of that limiting belief, to be in charge of the assumptions, things that really feel so true, but aren't. Because betrayal, abuse, and divorce crumbles your beliefs in just about every aspect of your life. What you believed to be real wasn't real. What you believed would save your marriage didn't. And what you hoped your partner would do to change, they wouldn't. And what you may have prayed to God to take away, He couldn't. It leaves you with what feels like nothing to believe in, including believing that you're capable. And I've totally been there. That's why creating this coaching program really is designed for those of you who've experienced betrayal trauma and or divorce. Because whether my clients are repairing their relationship, leaving, or have left, it is just about you and connecting back to yourself and learning to believe again, believing that you can trust yourself, believing that you can trust other people, learning how to really heal yourself, especially when you haven't had full disclosure and you're trying to find some sense of closure. It also helps you believe that you can love again, especially yourself. I do have an evening group that just opened as well. There's an afternoon group or an evening, whichever fits your schedule best. They're 90-minute sessions. The membership also gives you a significant discount for one-on-one sessions that you can use for brain spotting as well. Start healing some of the somatic trauma. Lots of opportunities to get coached through that program. So head over to the show notes and get your spot today, because I do only allow 7 in each group. So we're going to talk about stress today, which oddly enough, when you limit your beliefs about you and what you're capable of, it also can add to your stress. But when we talk about the stress in your life, it is so important to first distinguish between a stress response to trauma and then a stressor that we have in our everyday lives. We can manage our emotion of stress more than we realize outside of a trauma response. Okay, so I'm not talking about a trauma response today. Trauma response is going to activate the central nervous system where your body goes into fight, flight, freeze. Okay, where that is not a choice. When you experience something traumatic that your brain decides, hey, we've got to either fight, flight, or freeze in order to stay alive, all the emotions that come with that are part of the trauma response. We then have everyday life stressors. So learning tools on how to navigate a trauma response is one thing. And one of my all-time go-tos that I will tell my clients is just to start tapping, and I don't know if you can see them on YouTube, but if you can tap your fingers or put your arms crisscross around your chest and start tapping your chest. One of my go-tos was just naming colors around me. Anytime you activate your 5 senses, that helps bring you out of that trauma response. So people would be driving down the street and looking at colors. Now I lived in Arizona, and so there weren't a whole lot of colors. So it was like light brown, dark brown, medium brown. Oh, a little bit of green with some brown. Anyways, but start naming those colors because vision, sight is one of your five senses. And when you activate these, it brings you back to the present moment because a trauma stress response brings you out of the present moment. Now, our everyday stressors will do the same thing, but this type of stress usually has other emotions attached to it. And a lot of these life stressors we can eliminate. And I'm going to focus today on the stress that you face while going through divorce, navigating parallel parenting, and maybe in this new relationship with your ex, maybe his family, all of these things that might be creating stress that we think we have to, right? Like I have all of these things going on in my life that are so stressful and I have to just deal with it. How many of you find yourself saying that? Or I can't do anything about all these stressors that are happening in my life. I just want to run away, just want to hide because I can't deal with it. With this belief that we have to. I want to invite you to think about something right now that is causing you stress. I'm just taking a deep breath with you because I'm asking you to lean in. I'm asking you to lean in. Okay. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Just want you to hold that moment, hold the moment and think about what is causing me the most stress right now, today, this week. Now, where is the feeling of stress showing up in your body? Meaning, as soon as you had that thought, like, where is the stress showing up for me? What did you notice in your body? Did you notice your chest get tight? Was there some spinning, pinching, stabbing? Did it become hard to breathe? Did you notice tightness in your chest? Did your shoulders kind of scrunch up and go more towards your ears? Look at your fists, your hands. Are they feeling tighter and scrunched? What is showing up in your body when you think about this particular stressor? We're just noticing, we're going inside, and we're looking at it with curiosity. When you find it, take a deep breath in and out. Just say, well, hello, stress. If you can say it out loud, I think that really is helpful because it activates another one of your senses. When we just think, hello, stress, it's inside, it's in our head. When you say it, you're not only using your voice, which is activating your throat, but now you are hearing yourself say this. So it's going to have more of an impact. Hello, stress. I see that you're in my chest, in my shoulders, and then take another deep breath. Okay, now that you can see the feeling, the sensation of stress in your body, and you have the situation identified in your thoughts, this is the thing that's creating stress. I have to wrap all of these packages. I have to buy all the things. I have to cook all the things. I have to do all the things for my kids' school. I have to, like, whatever that is, right? I have to find money. All these different things that we're trying to figure out. Let's just get more information about that situation that you believe you have to do or that is creating stress. First, we're going to ask ourselves the question, is this stressful situation something I have control over or not? Can I change the circumstance of this situation? If the circumstance is another person's thoughts or feelings or their actions, then the answer is no. But what if it involves my kids, you might ask? What if the circumstances is that my ex is doing something? No, I can't control that, but it's impacting my kids. There has to be something that I can do outside of abuse. And unfortunately, because of the crappy legal system that we have, unless it's physical harm, potential physical harm, like leaving kids alone, etc., sexual harm, it's near impossible to have legal support when it's emotional and verbal. And if there are legal actions to take, those results are not in your control. If the situation may be legal proceedings and decisions that judges and lawyers make, the answer to whether or not we can control this is no. Maybe the circumstance is your children and what they're doing, feeling, who they're believing or not believing, what they see is true and who they trust. Again, we can't control this. So let's get curious for a moment. What about these circumstances can you control and what can you not? And I want to encourage you to hit pause and write these things out. This is going to get this out of your head and onto paper. This is important because it gets out of the head where we can ruminate, where we can overthink, over obsess. And so when we can write it out on paper, it's getting it in front of you and it creates a little bit of distance between you and these thoughts. So take some time to really get curious and real about the details of about the stressful situation. Yes, this is going to bring up some emotions. That's what we want here because those thoughts and those emotions are in your body. They are your human, physical, and emotional and mental experience. And without seeing it and looking at it, being curious about it, feeling it, it will take over and it will consume you and it will freeze you and it will become chronic. So, what are the situations that you believe are causing you stress? And what are the feelings that are showing up as you write? Hit pause so that you can take some time to do that. Maybe the emotions are sadness, anger, worry, fear, grief, helpless, hopeless. Write those down too. Okay, now that I've got you all stressed out, just kidding. Okay, now let's look at the stressor. I want you to draw a line through all of the things that you wrote down as this is what I'm feeling stressed about. This is what's causing me all this stress. Okay, here's the circumstances. I want you to cross out any of those external stressors that you cannot control. An external stressor are things outside of you, right? Not inside, but outside. Like I mentioned before, other people's thoughts and feelings and actions that you don't have agency over. Draw a line through those stressors. Again, hit pause if you need to. You cannot control the timing of the court, right? Maybe you're waiting for divorce papers to come back. Maybe you're waiting for your lawyer to call you back. Maybe you're waiting for a judge just to stamp the dang paper. You cannot control whether you get remarried or not. You cannot control whether your kids think and feel about you, who hires you for a job, what your ex tells the kids about the divorce or about you. Those are all external factors. Now let's just all do a big sigh. Ugh. Right? Let's just release that all out. Now go through your list of these external stressors. Let's put a circle around those that you do have some agency in. Now, watch your brain on this one because it will most likely tell you that you don't have any agency when really it's that it doesn't think you have options in this external circumstance, which then is going to make you believe you don't have control. Brain's going to be really tricky here. So, for example, you might believe that you can't get a job and make money. So you'll cross it out thinking, well, I don't have any control or not whether I get this job. Maybe you think I can't work and raise kids. So I'm going to cross that out because I can't control that. I cannot raise kids and work. But really what your brain is saying here is that it's not showing you options that you actually have in this situation, but it doesn't necessarily mean you don't have agency or control in that circumstance. This one holds so many people back. I see so many clients who will come and say, I don't have any control over this. I can't. I have to. When in all reality, they don't want to see any other option but this. I'm not going to work because I want to stay home and raise my kids. I understand that. I've been there. I get it. And that's not actually a situation that you don't have any control over. When we think we don't have control over that, it's going to create stress because we're avoiding agency at that point. We're avoiding looking at different options so that we can access agency. And remember, ladies, every time you access agency, you access energy, you access your agent power mode. I have seen women do extremely amazing creative things to raise kids and make money. This has been going on for centuries, where women who are single raising children have been able to come up with incredibly creative things to do to make money. And some have done extremely well. So, for example, you might not have heard of her, Maybe you haven't heard of her name, but have you all bought one or seen in the grocery store? Melissa Kaling got divorced in 2008. She was absolutely broke. She didn't know how in the world she was going to be able to take care of her three kids. She says this: I was suddenly a single mom and I had no career experience to fall back on after a decade of staying home and raising my children. I watched the bank repossess my car, and at times I had as little as $13 in my checking account. After her three kids complained about their fruit getting mushy in their lunch bags, Melissa realized that there was a need for an insulated lunch bag that was actually effective, unlike any bags on the market. And so she came up with an idea of creating a lunch bag that had these gel packs built into the lining and created a prototype using her cut up shower curtain. Like, she cut up her shower curtain to try and simulate this idea that she had. So she presented the idea at a trade show and caught the attention of the buyer's target. Though they said she needed to better educate consumers about her product, the packet worked. So she used a $2 million investment in the company to create an infomercial. And then she says this: the bet on the infomercial paid off big time. Our annual sales went from 150,000 to 6 million from 2010 to 2011. And the traction helped us get distribution in stores such as Target, Walmart, and Bed Bath & Beyond. Ladies, this is what I'm talking about. I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but I just want you to see here how easily our brains goes to, there's no option, no way, no how. Our brain says we don't have control over this. I can't choose. I have to, I should, I'm supposed to, I can't. And really, it's that we don't want to see the options. We don't want to start thinking outside that box. So be aware when you go through this list, what is my brain telling me I don't have actual agency in, but could that be a lie? How might my brain be tricking me here and just not wanting to see options? You can control how many applications you put in and what you do for work. You can choose to bag groceries part-time and choose what you want to think about that. You can choose to find help for your kids while you work and choose what you want to think and feel about that. You can't control what the judge says in a ruling, but you can try to appeal, research others in the area with similar cases and see what lawyer they used or what judge they used. You can control what you share with your kids or not. You can control how you feel about them, what you do when they argue with you or feel their big emotions. Those are internal choices you can make to external stressors. And here's another important step, because most often when I coach around feelings, human brains will offer the idea that, well, if I can choose how I feel and I don't want to feel stressed because it's horrible, then I need to choose something else to feel about the situation. Then they sit there and they try to feel really positive emotions about choosing to leave kids with someone or at daycare, because that's how they're going to be able to work to provide for their children. And so they're like, I can't feel positive about this. And then they feel even more stress. So the second tip here is really important. Do you really not want to have negative emotions here about the situation? Like, when you think about the situation, what do you really want to feel about it? Stress comes when you're trying to feel something that you really don't want to feel, but think you should or have to or need to in order for that to be healing or good or doing it right. There's no wrong or right emotion here. And stress is going to come, added stress, more stress and suffering is going to come when you are in resistance to the reality of what you're really feeling about it. I don't know about you, but when the reality of me needing to work outside the home and not being able to raise my kids full time the way that I planned or hoped, I did not want to feel happy about that. I wanted to feel sad, mad, hurt, and grief. And I knew that it was my responsibility to provide for my children because that wasn't happening with the other parent. Kids needed food, shelter. I needed to have a job. So acceptance came in the form of, this isn't what I hoped or truly desired. It's going to be hard, uncomfortable, sad, challenging for a while. It's what I need to do to provide. I want to feel proud of myself for stepping up and providing because my ex wasn't going to do that. I wanted to feel creative and find a way how to grow my cleaning business. So I got on all the neighborhood marketplace pages and I got my name out there and I started making connections. In fact, I still get calls from from some of those sites, actually. Kind of funny. But this took me out of the trauma stress response, right? Out of fight, flight, freeze. Now I'm allowing for and accepting the emotions of sad and uncomfortable and hard, which eliminated additional stress associated with the I shouldn't, I can't, I have to's. Look at your thoughts of stress and challenge them. You can feel sad and mad about that. And what else do you want to feel about it that will help you move, help you choose, and help you step towards empowerment? Okay, the next step to reducing stress is boundaries. Don't you love it? Don't you love boundaries? I hope you do. Now, a lot of these are going to be boundaries with yourself, meaning you are not communicating anything to anyone else. You are doing this for you to keep yourself safe from you. Okay, from your human brain. So look at your list of stressors now. Which stressors are happening because you either don't have boundaries to keep you safe from that stressor, or you don't have boundaries for yourself to keep you safe from other people? These self boundaries can reduce stress, might look like not responding to a text message that you're not legally responsible for answering. How many times do you hear the ding from your phone for a text message and your body, without even knowing who it is, has a stress response or feels automatically stressed on, oh my gosh, is that him? What's that going to be? Am I going to get blown up? Is it going to be an abusive text? Like, what is going on? You haven't even looked at your phone yet. Your body just had a whole experience there. So maybe this looks like some personal boundaries around your text messages. Maybe you change the tone. Maybe if it's coming from him, it doesn't have a tone. Maybe it's silenced. Maybe it's silenced, right? You can go in and click a little button and it does not alert you. It keeps all of those messages silent until you choose to pick up your phone and look at it. Now, when you hear the ding of your phone, you know it's not one from him. Or you block him. When you have the children and there is no need to be in communication with him, block the phone. Those are boundaries that you can do for yourself. Maybe leaving your beautiful, sacred, tender emotions out of your responses to your ex. He doesn't deserve to know your emotions. We're going to keep this very short, simple, and to the point. Sticking with the parenting plan is also a self boundary. This can help you eliminate stress around communicating changes or feeling pressure to accommodate or unnecessary guilt for kids' emotions, because everyone knows the schedule and everyone follows the legal boundary. Perhaps you're trying to do all the things that you did years before during the holidays, and you're stressed out because you think you are doing it to make others happy, or it used to be something that you loved to do. And when you had the money and the time to do them, it was enjoyable, but now it's stressful. I used to get the kids' teachers gifts and gift cards and help with the Christmas parties and bake all the treats. Where now I'm working 17 hours a day. So I had nothing left in my tank, my emotional tank, my energy tank to do any of that. I needed to have boundaries with myself on the self-talk that I had. I was not going to shame or blame or guilt myself. I can feel the deep loss that the experience is no longer something I can afford to choose to do, but I will not beat myself up for it. That's a boundary for myself. Another self boundary is perhaps not talking to certain people about your ex anymore. This can exacerbate the drama and create more stress responses, especially when those people respond with judgment or criticism or a list of maybe you should try this. A really, really healthy boundary for yourself is to not talk about certain topics with certain people. Maybe letting your kids know that you love them and acknowledge their big, beautiful feelings about the situation. And you can eliminate stress by not trying to fix their emotions or solve things for them to make them happy or eliminate their own pain. How many of you are stressing because your kids are feeling big feelings? You can't control your kids. There's an external factor. And you can control by having a boundary for yourself on how you navigate your kids' big feelings. Give yourself time to feel all the emotions that you're trying not to have so that you can get shit done. So that can look like, I'm going to go to my closet, my shower, my car at 9 p.m. tonight, and I will look at all of my emotion parts. I will feel them in my body. I'm going to set a timer for an hour or however long you want to give yourself. And then I will let these emotions know that I saw them, I heard them. Now I know why they're there and time to go back and get shit done. That can be a really good, healthy boundary for yourself. Kids need boundaries too. And it's actually very, very healthy to eliminate the over explaining, over accommodating, over teaching, and just state the boundary and hold the consequence. When you feel emotions that are not yours or this need to fix, you're going to have unnecessary stress. Boundaries are between you and you. They are for you to support your safe environment. And many times we are the unhealthy contributors to that space when we have unrealistic expectations of ourselves and others, and when we try to beat up all the emotions that are in our sacred space, when we try to make the space so perfect so that we can, quote, feel better, then it leads to more stress and exhaustion. This is where you will practice mindfulness and grounding in your own connectedness. This is self-care, y'all. Self-care eliminates stress, and this is the next step. It doesn't eliminate negative emotions because those don't need to be eliminated. They just need to be felt. The stress of the resistance, avoidance, or reactivity to the emotions is what self-care will help us stop doing. So self-care is letting yourself feel sad and hurt that your kids are upset with you. Stress is when you think they shouldn't or try to fix and control it. Self-care is validating that when your ex is busting through your boundary again, or the legal boundary, it is hard to hold the consequence. It's hard. It's annoying, actually, frustrating. You can feel that. Stress comes when you get caught up in the negotiating of the boundary with them, trying to re-explain the boundary or just give in and go back on what you said. That will cause stress. Next thing is to make a plan for the stressor experiences. So, for example, I knew that when my ex was going to pick up or drop off kids, he was going to try to corner me and talk to me when I clearly said that I wouldn't, or I'm making it very clear that I am not going to have a conversation with him. I knew the tactics, the backdoor sneak attacks, and so we make a plan for those. Go over the plan with someone safe to help you talk through it. Practice even how you're going to respond or not respond in most cases. If you know that he's going to be in an event and you're having negative emotions about it, you can keep it from being stressful by first validating your emotions, then having a plan for yourself when feelings are getting intense. Perhaps get your trauma bag put together where you take that bag with you with all of your things that help activate your five senses, and you go to the bathroom and you breathe and you ground. Maybe you bring a support person with you to these events that help you keep that boundary and help you not feel so alone and isolated, help you keep check with yourself. Coming up with a plan when you walk into a situation that you know is going to be stressful because you know you're going to have a lot of big emotional feelings about it. You know that you're still trying to break that post-adaptive bonding cycle or trauma bonding, right? You know these things are going to happen. Let's come up with a plan to reduce and eliminate as much of that stress as possible. Okay, one last thing I want to mention today, that in these intense and often difficult situations where you have little or no control over, you can help yourself to not feel not so stressed out by arguing with reality. One of my favorite quotes by Byron Katie says, "When I argue with reality, I lose, but only 100% of the time." Many times we're not fully aware that we push against or argue with, deny, or are fighting the external environment of the moment, that we don't even realize that it's an option to do something else, or even that it's a total waste of energy. It feels like, no, this is something we have to do, right? And it's in the resistance of what is that leads to the most or even all of the unnecessary stress and even suffering that we're so accustomed to experiencing. When we resist seeing things as they really are, we're accepting things that we cannot change. And we are holding on to a false belief that we will only be happy when this thing or this person that we cannot change changes. The more you resist seeing things as they really are, the more you will stress. This takes you out of your agent power mode. It limits your ability to choose. When you do become the chooser in your life, you are less likely to feel unnecessary stress because you can choose your responses to the situation. You can choose how you want to perceive the person or the situation. You can choose the decision you make in those situations. Even if it's a decision on how you want to think and feel about it, including negative emotion, that agency gives you the anabolic energy that supports healing, repair, and growth. Like physiologically, it heals you. So, going back to your stressful situation that you thought about in the beginning of this episode, what is in your control and what isn't? What do you want to feel about the situation and choose to feel in it? What are some boundaries that you can create for you to help eliminate unnecessary stress? When you know the situation will be stressful, what is your plan? What are your coping tools? As you see things as they really are and stop resisting the reality of your situation and your limited control, you will see things more clearly, and less confusion helps reduce stress. Y'all, this is a practice, lifelong. Give yourself a break. You don't have to and will not perfect this. Please, please, please know that every time you are feeling those everyday stressors, it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. And it doesn't mean you have to do it. You are the chooser in your life, and you can choose the experience you want to have with what you have control over because you can. Take care of it.
Today will be the